Hi, welcome back to the Global Summits Institute Podnar series. I'm Dr. Elizabeth Moore, and we're here today with Dr. Bak, and he is going to talk to us a little bit about finding your voice by writing books. So, Dr. Bak, welcome.
Thank you, Dr. Moore. It's a pleasure to be here.
Yeah, it's good to be chatting with you again. Now, Dr. Bak is a dentist, an author, a motivational speaker, entrepreneur, independent filmmaker. Did I miss anything?
Yeah, let
There's,
me summarize. I'm just a lazy guy trying to have fun.
yeah,
I'm so
absolutely.
easier to go with.
Absolutely. Well, I know from reading through this new book that you're about ready to publish, entitled "The Power of Doctor: The Modern Title of Nobility." It seems to me that one of your passions is cooperation, communication among dentists and other healthcare professionals, and this peer-to-peer system that you're interested in, and the Global Summits Institute is very interested in. Uh, why don't you tell us a little bit first about what made you want to write this book?
Actually, I had an interview with Dr. Kino Shar and we had a lot of fun on the screen. And out of the blue, said, "Let's write a book together." So if you can go through that interview, you said that even the title was found out. I don't believe it was recorded, but it was within that time. And I'm a very again, I'm a lazy guy, so it's taking more resources for me to plan ahead than to just go ahead and do it. So
Right.
about 2 weeks later, I was pretty done with my part. We have a lot of guest author, and some of them from the Global Summit who joined. So it took about 4 weeks, and we have a book wrap. It's if everything is fine, it will be ready by the end of this month on Amazon Print on Demand. And you talking about sharing collaboration. I'll cut right to this to change. The reason why I'm doing it, it's every time you share and you connect, it is the best way for you to grow because you open up and then you. It's not about who's right and who's wrong. It's about is there an alternative? Is there another way? Not a better way, but another way. And for every time that you open up, I learned that you way more than reading, than to learning to not this the conventional channels, but learning from one person to the next. It's easy, it's fun, and being lazy it's the most efficient way.
Yeah, definitely. I think that would certainly be maybe a switch for some of us that were so used to competing, especially, newer graduates. We're used to competing. It's all about competition to get into dental school. Once you're there, it's competition if you want to specialize. And how can we switch from that mind frame of always trying to compete to be the best and switch over to where now we're collaborators, colleagues, and we're not always trying to compete?
So let me appeal to the experience of everybody here. It's we've been trained all our life to try to be the best, and if we're among the top 10, we can maybe access to the next level and the next. And all our life, we've been trained to beat the average. If you look at the average and you're above the average, you're good. If you're in the average, now you have to re up. And if you're under the average, you could. This is mainly how it works. But if you go through the process of this, and we are setting up for our own failure, it's as you move up, the average is going up too. And eventually, you're going to reach a wall when you're going to get in the average, and eventually, you're going to get below the average. But when you look at this at the right way, that was a sign of success because you climb up the ladder high enough for you to reach the average before you went in the right group. So that's the mindset. Now the problem is how can we shift the mindset from climbing up the walls and stuff, the ladder, and not that we're on not on top, but at a level that will match our strength to start collaborating. So if you look at the numbers of a profession, I'm not talking about dentists, I'm talking about most of healthcare. The
Sure.
depression rates and the suicide rate are through the roof in a profession. And this is within the last decades, I think that 50 years or more. So as you climbing up the ladders, it's getting lonelier and lonelier.
Sure. Yeah.
And you can be the best, but if there's nobody to share that with, is there nobody even to brag about it?
Sure.
So I'm pretty sure that with the people with enough years of practice, they will all tell you that it is so lonely out there. Even so, we are always organized to meet each other. And there's a golden rule in psychology saying that when you meet somebody, there's two things that you can do. It's either to connect or to compare. And this is a golden rule. Every time you be connecting, the energy level will rise up. Every time you're comparing, the energy is going down. So this is a golden rule and a natural rule of life. Eventually, I think that each of us, as we are climbing, we will sense that eventually the curve of success and the curve of happiness is not always the same. Eventually, they're going to go in opposite direction. And before we started, you mentioned that most of us have a life outside of dentistry.
Right.
That was a way to keep in check. So being the best, it is good if you want to be the best version of yourself. If all you're trying to do is just to be above the average or better than average, unfortunately, that just illustrates one of our own insecurity, that we don't show of who we are. And being doctors, and I'm not trying to lecture anybody here, but I'm sharing with my own experience. Because I'm the son of an immigrant. Being the best is just the starting of the ladder.
Sure.
You're not the best. You don't go home. You don't eat. And mom, dad, I love you, but this is how I've been raised. That being said, you cannot be better than yourself at a certain point. So it's all about how you see yourself, and if you're secure enough to accept who you can start to help people. You can start to treat people, and our profession, we are. I'm not sure what just happened here.
I think
Hello?
we lost Dr. Elizabeth. She'll join back. Yeah.
All right, so I'll just keep going on to answer your question. So, as doctors, if we are insecure, the problem that will happen is we will never get rid of ourselves from a treatment plan. And we all know that our oath was to always put the interest of the patient before our own. Finding the security and finding also who we are. Now we have a chance to just put ourselves on a side because we can forget completely about it and to be completely immersed for a patient. So the question mainly was, how do we shift? I think that we're doing this every day, practicing, connecting with our patients, serving them. The problem is every time that we meet one another, sometimes those old habits of competing come back to the table. And what I found, the best way to fight that programming in our code was to genuinely connect and to open up, and also to build on the difference, because it is okay not to believe the same thing. It is okay not to agree. And the main thing is you can agree, you can disagree, but you can listen. You learn something.
Sure. All right, let me just apologize real quick. I live out in the country, kind of far, and I think we lost me for a second, but I am back.
Thank you.
We have some cats in the house, so if you see a little tail go across the screen, don't think anything of it. Okay, I had another question for you. How did you get involved with the Global Summits Institute?
That's a great start to say. It's from the beginning of the confinement, I was isolated, and I could have gone under, just like a lot of us. So what happened? Sure. It's I had two choices. Either I stay home and I stress out about something I have no control over,
sure.
Or I would say, screw that. I'm gonna try to take control of something. And the only thing I can do, and the only place that was safe to go, virus-free, was the web. So I started connecting with people from my network, and I met with Dr. Paul Willett, who is one of the top 1,000 dentists.
Right.
And we became good friends. Within the 3 months of confinement, we had a lot of summits together, talking about how we can just look forward to lead a profession to safety ground, because everybody from the dental field was all affected by the same problem. We went from a 100% relevancy to about 3%. We were not useful. So it was a big shock for to many of us, and we connected to how we can resume, how we can find patients, how we can help each other, how to look to for the future. And within that time, he connected me with the founder of the Global Summit, which is Dr. Kino Shore. That took us, I think, a few weeks before we can just have a time that we can sit together. We got an interview who we rocked that interview. It was so much fun, and we could see the energy on the air. And that went pretty fast from there.
Yeah.
I got introduced to a lot of doctors. I interviewed some of them to make sure that we can get along to maybe produce a book. And now, with 4 weeks later, we have a book. There's the discussion of a second one about the power of peer-to-peer. I'm not sure about the title yet. And I have to tell you that it is something I said, and I will say that in public here. It's before this confinement, I didn't go along with dentists that much because people was looking at me if I was an alien, talking about philosophy, talking about finance, talking about other stuff than dentistry. From this confinement, I find hope that in a profession there was a lot of thinkers that are thinking the same. There's a lot of drivers, but if there's one thing good for the dental field within this confinement, it brought us together. It brought the thinker, it brought the doers, it brought the drivers together. And I'm very grateful for that. I'm looking forward to see how far the power of connecting peer-to-peer can go, how far the power of being genuine without time zone, without boundaries, without countries. We're just journey people want to share and hopefully to grow. I'm very hopeful.
Fabulous. Yeah, so it's so inspiring. So I think a lot of people are losing hope right now, especially as this drags on longer and longer and they're more and more isolated. So it's good to be able to hear about connecting, post COVID-19. So speaking of this book, who did you write this book for? Who should read this book?
Can I be honest? When I'm not somebody who's going to try to sell my books. When I write, and to be genuine, I write for myself. And by now, that was my 66th book. I am at my 69. I'm starting 69. I started yesterday. To keep that kind of pace like this is when you go through personal growth, or you go to anything that is spiritual, they will say that you need a time in a day to meditate about what you've done, about where you're going. That was my way to meditate. Writing was my way to just make sense of what's going on and also where I'd be heading. So when I write for myself. But being myself, you can write a book, you can write two. After that, what else you have to say?
Right.
So what I've learned is to put myself in other people's shoes, to try to understand where they're coming from, what they're feeling. And I've learned to develop my sensitivity, trying my empathy, to just try to feel what people feel, even if I don't live the exact same reality. So
Right.
the power of Dior, and it's not the power of doctor, it's really the power of Dior, the title that we have in front of a name. To tell you the truth, I never wanted to be a doctor. I'm the son of an immigrant. You know the story. It took me 20 years to admit that on air because I had my pride and ego involved. But I've been through both sides of that fence, being a doctor and being respected, and also on the other side, looking at doctors, say, wow, that's so intimidating. So
Sure.
when I was writing about the power of Dior, I was putting myself in both the shoes of a doctor, being proud of who he is or who she is, and also on the shoes of somebody looking at a doctor. So, why are you a doctor? Why do you think you're better? Why do you have a title? Because maybe that's the only title you can have today. Because even as president, there's no title, but DR is a title, and this is across the globe. And I wrote this book for many of us to do two things. And I say many of us, I think that everybody who wears a white coat will relate. It's firstly to heal. We all have a wounds. We all have also a questioning, especially after COVID. And this will help many of us to say that what we've done until now has value, has worth to society. Even if within this crisis we've been put on bench, we've been benched,
Sure.
and also it will help many of us to try to go forward. So, how can we build on what we are to just move forward? Either you can keep renewing your vow as a doctor, or you can say, now I'm going to pass to something else.
Sure.
But what we are, what we learn, and what we've been for the last 10, 15, even 2 years of your life, being doctors, it's we have gained something. And mostly it's work ethic. Mostly it's also the fact that you have to put the interest of others before your own. And if you go
Sure.
through everything in life, this is a pretty good start. This is
Yeah, I know we learn a lot of empathy in dental school, but you have to constantly remind yourself, because it's easy to get frustrated or, upset, lose your patience, so to speak. But I think empathy is one of the most important things that we can bring to our patients, right? Now, I had another question for you. Now, the whole peer-to-peer idea is about doctors helping doctors, and also cutting out some of these third parties that have gained so much control over the healthcare system in recent years: insurance, pharmacy, lobby, this sort of thing. What experiences have you had in healthcare that led you to believe in this mission, the mission of peer-to-peer, GSI, that sort of thing?
I'll have to be brutally honest. I'm from Canada, and Canada it's a place where everybody gets along. This is the if there's one rule, you have to get along. So even if we have third parties, even we have other people invested, it's not. Yeah, there are some things that we don't agree on. Yes, there are stuff that can be better, but by the end of the day, we try to make it working together. Also in Canada, it's very differently set than the United States, where about
Sure.
only 5-7% of the people work inside of a BSA or an organization. And I know that the trend is catching. So we are mainly boutiques clinic, trying to either survive, compete once against the other, or just trying to just go through the flow. So we don't have the same maybe vision. What was really appealing to me in the peer-to-peer was the fact that a like thinker and a like doers were coming along and share. And this is what they say. When you are just in a small community, there are not so many people that can just share your mindset. And you look like maybe a crazy guy standing alone. But now if you brought that to the world, now the chance for you to meet with leaders and people that say that, yeah, we can do better. We can not to reinvent the wheel, but we can just question some establishment.
Sure.
That is
So that leads me to another question, which is, how do you think technology and social media can help with bringing this peer-to-peer idea? Are we having technical problems again? Yeah. Okay, I would say while we're frozen up here, I can tell you a little bit about Dr. Bak from Canada. He was Entrepreneur of the Year, LinkedIn and Town Hall Achiever of the Year. He's a cosmetic dentist, CEO, and founder of MDEX and Company. He is a speaker and author, an independent filmmaker. And he's been involved recently with the Global Summits Institute, started by Dr. Kianor Shah. And the Global Summits Institute is trying to bring this peer-to-peer idea to fruition, to where doctors all over the world have the power of each other, so to speak, to where they can come together and cooperate and in this way make healthcare better for everyone, for the doctors, for the patients, just for everyone. Let me find out what's going on with our feed here. Are we back?
Yes, I'm sorry. I think that this time was my connection.
Yes, you know, you can't win them all. I was kind of funny. I was just asking about how you thought technology and social media can help with this this peer-to-peer idea.
I think that technology and social media has everything to do with this, because this is what allowing us together to connect. And you
Right.
from Illinois, from Quebec, we have a very supporting doctor, which.
Oh no, I think we're having connection problems today for sure. All right, well, while we're waiting for Dr. Bak, let me read some of the quotes from his book, some of the ones that I've highlighted here that I thought were most interesting. Oh, are we back?
Yes,
Yes.
I was here the whole time. I think that's Dr. Gupta who got cut.
Oh no, we're all having problems. But hey, honestly, we wouldn't be able to speak at all without, you know,
There's too
social
many
media.
people on the line. There's too much sharing.
Yeah,
Thank you.
exactly. Okay.
So we're talking about the social media, and also I think that we owe a lot to technology to be able to connect us. And now the other point is we will have to still to be in control of what we do with technology. If not, that's going to take over. And just this morning, it took us half an hour to set up just this this platform so we can meet. So yes, there's going to
Sure.
be some change, and especially after COVID, today it is accepted that we can be from home, talk to each other. I think this will change drastically the way that we receive continuous education, because it will take a few months, if not a few years, before we can get back in a classroom. And this is if we want to get back in a classroom. You know that today even the universities are getting scared, because you can pay 50,000 in tuition fee to have a degree from Harvard, but you're staying home. So people are
Oh
starting
no.
to scratch their head and say, "Do I'm going to go there?" And I'm talking about Harvard. They're all the same, because right now it's about safety.
Sure.
But this is so convenient. You can have teachers from all around the world. You just have to make sure that the time frame will match, and
Sure.
the time zone. Sorry, and also it is genuine, because when you do a Zoom, you know that after a Zoom, after something like this, you're exhausted because you're really connected to people. It's not just talking to the
Right.
phone. It is genuine,
Sure.
and you can share so much. So I'm thinking that embracing social media for those of us who haven't doing as much, it is your way to the future. And there's going to be a presentation after this talking about why we should start writing. Because today,
Sure.
if you don't have a blog, you don't write, you don't have a podcast, so you don't speak, you don't have a video so people can see you, you're invisible to the world. In other
It's true.
words, you don't exist.
Yep. Now, would you have any advice for our new colleagues just starting out? Pitfalls to watch out for, you know, maybe financially, professionally, social life-wise. There were in this book, you and Dr. Pavel spoke quite a bit to our new colleagues, and not only that, but mistakes that had been made in the past and how to avoid them. What were some of the biggest ones of those that you can think of?
Let me start with the fact that I hate the fact that I'll be sharing wisdom, because I'm not that old. Up to lately, I thought that I was a newcomer to this profession, but it's been 20 years already. In the book, I think that we have to say that I'm the main author, Dr. Pavel Krastev joined, but there's also 12 collaborating authors also sharing their point of view. There was point of view about being a female doctor from a long time ago, and how this has been perceived, how the profession is fair or not, generally speaking. Also, how we can just cope with our own scale of excellency. How we can keep that up. So it's not about secrets for newcomers. It's not about a book formula. It's about this is what we've been through. This is what we feel. And this is how we cope. So yes, there's a lot of things you can apply in your own life, but don't go to this book thinking that this instruction to be followed. This is, we're sharing parts of our life. We're sharing also how we came through with this. Since it was my 66th book, I was more talking from the point of view of, let's say that I'm looking at the title BR as a stranger. What do I know? So I start to answer that question from my knowledge. But the whole point here is doctors tend to have one complex, is to not talk about our tongue, to think that we don't have the rights to have tongue. And all we role here is to treat people. And after that, we meet each other and we compare, so we don't heal each other. We get even worse because we're looking at each other's wounds, say, yeah, I'm doing better, or geez. So even pity is not a good thing on the table. And by the end of the day, if we look at one another, we're all framed from the same mentality. We're framed from the same vow to excellency, to nobility, because helping people all the time, it's not something that is always there present, unfortunately. But from our title of doctor, is this coming from the new title of nobility? It's we vow to always excel for the interest of other people. And if we can just take this little part, let's be selfish for 5 minutes. We can take this little part, say that if I can apply this to a colleague of mine, maybe, just maybe, I would have the chance to heal myself.
Sure.
So the advice I'm giving here to the new members of a profession, it's being a doctor is not about who you are. It's about your function. It's about what you can give. And you cannot give much if you don't learn more. And
Sure.
this is something all doctors knows. It's the day you receive the diploma, it's just the beginning. Because now you have to keep learning always.
Yes.
And trust me, this is for me to say, because I'm a lazy guy, remember. If you want to treat people, if you want to keep being the best, at least the best version of yourself, you have to stay open. You have to stay humble enough to be sensitive to what your boss wants. And your boss are your patients. Those are the people hiring you. But as long as you know this, it is possible to move forward. And I know that most dentists or most doctors on the line will say that, yeah, that's how I'm doing. What I'm trying to say here is, if you can keep the same mindset, the same mind frame, and apply that now to your peers, help them out, help them heal. You're a doctor, you know how to do that. So
Sure.
all you have to do is to shut up and listen. Trust me, the good coming out of it will serve you both, you and them. And it's all about rewriting that fact that we think that we're doctors and we think that we're always in function. Sometimes we have to let the energy goes back to
Empathy, humility, cooperation. So like important ideas.
Thank you. You went through the book.
All right. Well, Dr. Beck, do you want to go through your presentation a little bit?
Yes, and before, I promised all my team who joined this book said that, yeah, this has to be a blast. And Dr. Shaw remind me, you have to tell people where to get the book.
Right.
It is, I promise, this book will be ready because now that I receive all the texts by the end of this month on Amazon Print on Demand. You can all go look forward to it, and please write back to us. We would love to have you comment and also see to have a discussion going on. Now, for the next phase of this webinar, let me share with you how to write and why to write. And this is it's a way for me to share with you my secrets.
Great.
Dr. Beck, please go ahead and share your screen again. We lost the presentation. Please share the screen again.
All right, can everybody see my screen?
Yeah, just
I can see fine.
Okay.
There we go.
So tell me what. Okay, so I decided to title this presentation "Finding Writing Your Voice." So as I said earlier, we live in the era of social network and also of digitalization, and especially in confinement, if you don't write, you don't have a podcast or you don't have a video, so there's no writing, there's no voice, there's no video, you are invisible to the rest of the world. And education, this is not about marketing, it's about saying who you are and sharing what you know and what you you have to share with the world. This is a medium for you to just share either your emotion or your knowledge. So the first thing is you have to start writing with an affirmation. That's number one. So let's say that you want to write, let's not talk about a book now. A book can be intimidating. Let's say that you want to write your own TED Talk presentation or your keynote. So my advice is start with a title. And the title should be bold and should promise something. And that's your affirmation. That's also your theory. The second thing you have to do now is for people to understand where you're coming from. You have to elaborate what do you mean? So let's say, for example, I remember that my first chapter ever written was said that don't put yourself on top, but get inspiration from the top. That was my bold statement. And yeah, you can be controversial. That's fine. For as long as of that, you can elaborate and explain your theory, what's coming from. And you want a good tip for me. Don't try to be right. You are sharing perspective. It's not the same. Doesn't mean that because you're saying something bold, that has to be the truth for everybody. But this can be your truth, and some people who relate with that will understand where you're coming from, and that will make sense to them. And this brings me to something that I think it's very important to differentiate. Perspective are not the same as opinion. So in other words, what is a perspective? This is your feeling when you're going through something. When I said that empathy will allow you to feel what people feel, that's a perspective. You have a reality custom fit to one person and one situation. When an opinion is what you think, and thinking it's not feeling. Thinking it's you're standing where you are, you're not getting wet, and you're saying that, yeah, this is what I think of that situation. So when we write, people, especially doctors, we don't want to emit our opinions because that's it. Yeah, that's me. I don't want to impose that on the world. But sharing a perspective, that's data. And just work with me a little bit. Perspective will allow people that never try your shoes, that never try that challenge, to know how it feels like to be in that shoes. So that's a good simulation. When your opinion, it's mainly what you think of that. We have no feelings, we have nothing genuine out of it, more than your hypothesis. So don't be scared to share your perspective, because that's not an opinion, and that has worth, a lot of worth. The number three rule will be to engage your audience. So before we start, you have to understand, especially to whom you're talking, and the narrower your audience, the better it is, because you'll be able to reach them directly. And everything, it's about to connect emotionally. So to engage your audience, usually when you write, you have your bold statement, then you explain what it means. The core of your speech or the core of your story, it's a story of yours. It's how you came to understand that, what in your past you experienced to understand those. And to share a true story will always bring a certain level of depth to a theory. And I'm looking at the musician here, and I know that as doctors, we're trying to be emotionless. So that's how we succeed our operation. But trying to connect with an audience, it's all about emotions. So your fear, your joy, your sadness, your hope are all keys, two elements for you to connect with your audience. Because if they don't relate, that will not happen. So if you look at the first image here, we'll see the doctor all dressed up, and this is mainly us in the COVID time. That's surely not who you want to be when you write or you open up. You want to go far away from that. And this will be a great secret to share with every one of you. Since we're not talking that much, we don't share that much. As soon as we start sharing, say, I have to start from the beginning. Don't. Just be yourself. But if you start from the beginning, you will have a very slow paced story and people will lose interest. Remember that if you target your audience, it's all about who they are, all about them, what they want. So start with the meat. Start with exactly where you want them to be. And as you're going to just create a trust with them, a relationship with them, now they want to know more. Now it's time to bring back fragment of your past, justifying where you're coming from. Why are you saying this? But you start from the beginning of everything. You've lost people right after a minute. So storytelling, it's not about telling your story. It's about telling the story that your audience will relate to. And it's just about editing parts of it, putting what part in front of the other. And for as long as you have connected with your audience, you have a chance to finish your story. Some of us will talk a lot. And I'm one of the first people who talk a lot. Never lose focus of the goal of your communication. It was to share information. So if there's no growth, it's nothing to learn from your presentation. Again, that might be a misuse of time. So always start with the fact that I'm talking to person A, and I like that person A to change slowly to person B. There's a transformation here. So that's why your story or your writing or everything that you be bringing on the table will have worth. And this is common to all dentists, all doctors sharing knowledge. So this is, you don't go with what people don't know, but this is what you want to learn, and this is how we go through. The key missing part was the emotions. And when you put emotion in the mix, we tend to forget about the transformation process. So you have to balance both. This is something very hard for you to take as a doctor, but people don't have to believe you to make your story work. They just have to follow your thoughts. I know this is something new for all of us, but nobody will believe you at the beginning. They might connect with you, they might relate to you, but they won't believe you. But if they can follow your steps, they can follow your logic, they can feel your emotions. Now you have a chance to share with them your feelings, your wisdom, and also what you learn from that journey. And this is nothing new, because this is what we do every day watching movies. We connect to an emotion. So let's break this down and go back. The beginning of a story, you have a situation and emotion. This is your challenge. If there's no challenge, there's no story. Then there's the mindset. What have brought you to go through this decision process, and what mainly were your motivation? So if there's one place that is drier, is the mindset. There's no emotion involved. It's all about the will to move forward. Then comes the core of the story, the action. And again, action, it's all about emotion, because most of us will know that if we're taking new steps, the first steps will be failures. And what is important here is not what you've done, because we're not looking for a recipe. It's how you feel doing it and how you deal with those feelings. Because most of the time, the feelings will be of doubt, of resentment, of fear. And the victory to the story, it's how you deal with this emotion, because there's no way for you to just get rid of them. And the final part will be the lesson. If you have to do that all over again, what is this for people to retain? So with those 4 elements, you have a story. It can be a long story, it can be a very short story, but make sure that it's always there. And you saw on 4 elements, 2 of them were about emotions. So no, emotion is not a detail you can leave aside when you tell a story. Actually, it is the core of your story. And why I'm saying this to a peers of doctor, we spend our lives in continuous education. Most of us, or some of us, dedicate our life to educate. So if you follow this quote, to educate while entertain, that's sharing. And sharing, it's the easiest thing to do. So especially after COVID, I think that this kind of interaction, this kind of education will be the new norm. And on this, you won't have people trapped, and I'm saying the word trapped, in a classroom for an hour. So you will have to keep the connection with every one of your peer, every one of your public. Emotions are the key. Establish that and you will have trust. Then you're talking to doctors. Be concise, be precise. You have to identify the challenge, you have to identify the transformation, and then make sure that you illustrate the evolution to the process. And be short, for the love of God. Because you know that today we all live in the Instagram age, meaning that you won't have much time of attention. People can zap you pretty quickly, which is something we're not used to as doctor. Make sure that you deliver a snapshot. Make sure you deliver a trailer, and then you elaborate on this. So this is why I give you that frame of work, saying that if you want to start something, start with a bold statement. That's the abstract. Then go on and elaborate on that abstract. So for most doctors who like to say, okay, I got what you're saying. Now please explain. You just did before they ask. What will happen next? Who are you to tell me that this is true? That's come your personal story, your wisdom that you're sharing. You're not saying that you're right, but you're saying that this is coming from somewhere. And as they follow you through that guideline or that's the narrative, you always have to reconnect with them, saying that, but that's my story. This is not about me. This is about you. What do you have to gain out of this? And that empowerment you're doing, or that connection you're doing, will keep people close to you. They will follow your evolution, because it's not about your evolution, it's about their evolution. So I don't think that there's something new here. We'll went to this, but the future of education will be online, because it is more accessible, it's way cheaper, and after COVID, it is a norm. You know that change is hard. The virus forced this change. It will be hard for us to just decide to let's come back to a classroom. Let's book hotels. Let's book. It is glamorous. It is fun, but it's not the most efficient way to connect, to educate ourselves, and to keep our continuous education. And this is the other democracy that's coming. It's now that it is easier to have a podium. More and more people will come out sharing the knowledge. More and more people will come out sharing their perspective. It's a way for you to make sure that your first steps will be a success, because your narrative has been organized in a way that people usually consume. And on this, you have to allow me to tell you where I'm coming from. It's I've been a past movie producer, a failed one. So telling stories, it's not about trying to express yourself. It's trying to make sure that the message gets through. So you're seeing everything not from the emitter point of view, but you have to see it from the receiver point of view, the end goal point of view. And education is just that. So if you have knowledge to share, going through the right medium, people will keep their attention and focus, and the message will get through. If it's too dry, if it's too long, and we use the fact that, yeah, we have an hour, today we have a minute, make sure to use that attention span to your advantage. This is to illustrate, yeah, in this age of Instagram, you have 60 seconds, not 60 minutes. Try to make the most out of it. So if you have connect with your public for the first 60 seconds, you might have another 60 and another 60. So you always have to keep them involved, keep them engaged in your story. And I think that this is not a bad thing, because if we successfully reform a little bit our narrative and the way we teaching will be more accessible. Teaching will also be fun and pleasant. And why is this so important now? Because at this age, technology and COVID has made sure that 60 seconds is pretty much the maximum chance people will give you. Most of the time, you give the post you're seeing on your feed less than 5 seconds. So it's all about appealing. It's all about keeping the connection and being genuine. And now number 5. So if you go through, you have your bold statement, you have the explanation of your statement, you have your personal story, the emotional rise, and also to keep your public always engaged. This is the conclusion. Make sure you address your public, looking at them right in the eyes, saying that, so now, doctor, what's your story? So now, doctor, what are we learning from you? So now, doctor, what will you do? That connection, especially through the technology of today, will give you a unique sense of connection, because people at home are connecting one-on-one with you. So I said the crowd empowerment. It's not true. It's the peer empowerment. Define your public, address it, and keep them in your mind the whole time through, because it was for their interest that you were speaking. That being said, your legacy today is streaming. So if you're not streaming, you might have no legacy. In other words, you don't write, you don't have a podcast so people can listen to you, you don't have a video. You're invisible to the world. Maybe before it was okay, but if today we're confined, we're masked, we are keeping a distance, socially speaking, and who knows for how long that's gonna last. If you want a voice, you need to start voicing up to the means that you want. But that's gonna be through the social media. That's gonna be through the web. I thank you for your attention. This is finding your writing, finding your voice. This is a 2 hours masterclass. I tried to summarize this within the time I have here, but taking the tricks I gave you, the tips I gave you here, that surely will assure you a great start. I've been writing with many guest authors who never wrote in their life, and this is the recipe I gave them, and I can feel that most of them enjoy the writing. It was liberating. It was healing, and as soon as you got through the healing process, the next phase will be that you'll be writing your own prophecy, and that's the great part. I hope you did enjoy. Do you have any question? I don't hear you. I can't hear you. I'm not sure if it's my connection or yours, but I can see you. You move right, but I can hear you. So while we're waiting for Elizabeth, for the doctors who are watching this, um, we're kind of talking about two subjects here: the power to of the aura. It's a book written with many of my peers and colleagues from all around the world, and we are trying to share our experience, helping you heal, helping you move forward. The book will be available on Amazon by the end of this month. And please, if you have a chance, write back to us. We want you to come in. The presentation part was more for me to not forget that this is all about you. It is mainly to share with you my knowledge and power about how to write, how to find your voice and to voice up and give it a try. Give it a try. It can be an essay of 1,000 words, it can be 500 words, it can be 2,000 words. Just let yourself go. You feel how good the feeling can be, and that feeling, just take this and build on top of it. I was trying to just keep people entertained. Isn't it? So I'll keep going now. Oh, okay.
I think we're back. Are we back?
Yes.
Okay, I think we're back. Thank you, Dr. Back, so much. That was a very interesting presentation. And I also wanted to be sure to let people know that you can find this book on Amazon. And you can join the Global Summits Institute on the web at gi-summit.com or on Facebook for our Podnar series. And I wanted one of these times when we had technical difficulties, I was going to read some of my favorite quotes from Dr. Back, but then we didn't get a chance to. So I want to at least leave you with these that I really enjoyed when I was reading through this book. One, you call me doctor to remind me to always put your interests before mine. And I thought that was just a really good phrase, a saying that we as doctors probably should always remember. And another one was drive is resilience combined with willpower, which I think probably
I think I just got cut, or the more have lost the connection.
We lost Dr. Elizabeth. I think she'll join back.
Um, Thank you so much for the attention you give me. I like to thank Dr. Short to make this happen. I like to thank all the peers of the organization to support this effort. Um, if today I have brings something of worth on the table, it is my privilege for you to share. Hopefully, the next peer-to-peer, the next Polymore will be as entertaining as again. I know I'm losing my words here. It's if you like me, I'm all about fun. Yes, I need to evolve, I need to learn, but I'm all about fun. So you can make this fun. You can keep learning while we're sharing, while we can contribute, not just receive information, but also contribute. We can give back. It's the peer-to-peer initiative. I think that was what's missing on the table, because until now we were a receiver. We were sitting in the, oh yeah, Doc, you're back. was keeping trying to entertain people.
Yes, thank you. I appreciate it. I think we're getting froze up between all our different locations. But did you have any final thoughts that you wanted to leave our audience with?
I was thinking Dr. Kino Sharp to make this happen, but I have to tell you that you've been a very warm host, and to hear my words
Are we froze up again? It can't be.
No, I can hear you fine. But to hear my own quotes and words from your with your voice, with your tone, it's what an honor you're doing today. Thank you, Elizabeth. I hope that people from home can have a chance to grab that book, not just from me, but from all the peers who go into this book. Maybe our next book you'll be featured in. Keep in mind that this is not about who's right, who's wrong. This is about sharing. This is about understanding, and this is about healing. I can see you, but I can't hear you, Elizabeth.
Sure.
So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for taking the time, and hopefully we can next time we can connect. We can help each other out and heal each other and empower each other to move forward. Um, I'll be stepping in for Dr. Elizabeth, but this is the Global Summit Institute. Thank you for being here. Thank you for sharing this, to making this something of work, something that is working. I'm Dr. Bak.